Some victims take the hit and never say a word about it again. Some get pushed just far enough that they finally turn around and fight back.
No lighting today? What's the matter? Afraid I'll redirect it?
But in the darkest cases, fighting back isn't where it ends. The victim doesn't just beat their abuser, they become one. Today, we're finding out exactly how that happened. Now, let's kick this off with someone you probably didn't expect to see on this list about abuse, because on paper, she looks like the villain of this entire video. Well, one of the villains, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Right now, we're talking about Angelica Pickles, who's a 3-year-old tyrant. She terrorizes babies who can barely stand and has the gaslighting potential of a mafia don with way too much blood on their hands.
Why on earth are you making chocolate pudding?
Because I've lost control of my life. Here's your pudding, Angelica.
Oh, that's okay, Uncle Stu. I'm not hungry anymore.
And the whole time, she's with a doll named Cynthia, clutched to her chest like a tiny dictator's teddy bear.
Did you hear that, Cynthia? We have to sit in a car and take care of a little baby all the way to the Grand Canyon.
But before you write her off as just a spoiled brat with a bad attitude, look at who's raising her. Drew and Charlotte Pickles, Angelica's parents, are barely ever there. And even when they show up, it only reveals where Angelica's disturbing patterns come from. Starting with Charlotte, she's the CEO of a company called Merge Corp, and she's fused to her phone more than a teenage girl with self-esteem issues. She's constantly barking instructions at her poor assistant, Jonathan, while her daughter is standing right in front of her, wanting just a nugget of attention. Drew's not much better either, mind you. Maybe a bit more present, but he's still part of the problem. Another big problem is just how much they bloody spoil her. You see, Angelica wants for absolutely nothing, like material-wise. Toys, sweets, clothes, more toys. What she doesn't get is the things that turn a bratty kid into a decent human being, like structure and discipline. Now, to be fair, Charlotte clearly does love her daughter in her own knackered, overworked way. But that doesn't mean that we can excuse what happens. In the episode Pickles vs. Pickles, this 3-year-old literally hires a lawyer to sue her own parents for making her eat broccoli.
I call to the stand Mrs. Charlotte Pickles. Now, Mrs. Pickles, is it not true that on last Tuesday, August 3rd, you served your 3-year-old daughter Angelica a large piece of broccoli for dinner?
When we were 3 years old, we didn't even know what the word lawyer even meant. Looking at it more, that's pretty much Angelica's whole thing. She doesn't really have friends her own age because she's stuck in this weird gap where she's too old to be a baby and too young to be taken seriously by anyone. So the only people she can dominate and control are a bunch of toddlers who can't even talk back. Angelica being mean in the show is pretty much because her parents have already failed her when she's still a toddler. You can throw all of the toys and affection and money at her, but as a parent, you need to, well, parent. And since she can't fight back against the absence of her parents, why not take her anger out on a bunch of defenseless babies? Of course, you can't really call this a normal form of abuse. Neither can we fully blame her horrible attitude completely on her parents. She really is just a little brat. But as we've talked about multiple times on this channel, abuse isn't always the physical or even the mental kind. Sometimes not taking the time to teach your kid to be a proper human being or paying attention to them is a form of abuse in itself. If that isn't enough for you though, don't worry, we've got a lot more. What I would refer to interesting entries coming up. Next up though, let's talk about the kid whose entire personality was built on one very famous, very running joke.
Bart! Don't call me that!
Which one, Homer or Fat Ass?
You little... They're both bad, and I suspect you know it!
Get your hands off of me, you...
2 hands around the throat with his eyes bulging, tongue out and legs kicking. It's one of the most iconic bits in the show. Hell, in all of cartoon history. It's been going on since the early 90s, and it is, by the show's own admission, an act of straight-up child abuse. Sometimes it's just pure slapstick, like Homer getting pissed off when Bart does something particularly annoying, and he just can't help himself. It gets a laugh out of everyone, us included, but other times, the show takes the time to show off just how horrifying it is. Like the time Milhouse is shown cowering behind the bed, absolutely terrified watching his best mate get throttled by his own dad.
It's older and wiser.
More like balder and wider.
Why, you little... I'll teach you to say something that sounds similar!
Yet, despite the fact that we've watched Bart get abused in every way you can possibly think of, why is he remembered as the prankster and the bully? Or the kid who makes poor Milhouse's life hell? And I'm sure you're thinking that that must be an over-exaggeration, right? Well, I mean, I bet you don't remember the fact that Bart has gotten Milhouse onto the FBI's most wanted list, and it was just for a laugh.
Remember I got Milhouse's picture on America's Most Wanted?
Here he is, on the monkey bars.
Try to take him alive.
No, not again!
Just like Angelica, it's easy to just see him as the delinquent prankster that doesn't care about anything but getting what he wants at everyone else's expense. But then there's the episode that gives a glimpse into exactly why Bart Simpson may be the way that he is. Take the episode Love is a Many Strangled Thing, where Homer humiliates Bart in front of an entire stadium. This time, Marge has had enough and packs Homer off to a parenting class. His therapist finds out about the strangling and puts Homer through shock therapy. And I mean that almost literally. He gets a 7-foot-tall Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to strangle him over and over until Homer is so traumatized by the experience that he becomes a total doormat and can't discipline Bart at all anymore. Hell, he flinches if the kid so much as looks at him funny. And what does Bart do the second that he clocks his dad has gone soft? He becomes a bully. And we kid you not, it's the moment his dad changes that Bart snaps into becoming an absolute terror, pushing other kids around the way that he's been pushed around for years. And that's not where it stops. Would you believe strangling is a Simpson family trait? Yeah, it's not something unique to Homer. It's something that the Simpsons' fathers have been doing to their sons for at least 4 generations.
Por favor, aguántese en la veranda. No escupas en los lados.
Great-Grandpa Simpson.
Please hold on to the
Snowball.
Christ, and some people say cartoons aren't deep. But at the end of the day, both Angelica and Bart are genuine brats, who we'd say in a lot of situations deserve the karma that they get. How about characters that genuinely just get shit thrown in their face for pretty much, existing? Someone like Kenny Bloody McCormick.
Well, come on, let's go. Oh my God, they killed Kenny!
You know the drill. Kenny dies a lot. Comically, horrifically, constantly. Especially in those first 5 seasons where it felt like the poor lad couldn't make it through a single episode without getting flattened, incinerated, straight up eaten by something. But underneath the hood, and we mean that because you can barely understand a word he says through that Parker, is one of the most genuinely f***ed up home lives in the entire show. His dad, Stuart, is a chronic alcoholic who's barely held down a job for most of the show's run. On top of that blend of dysfunction, the family's so broke, they're eating frozen waffles for dinner and bread sandwiches for breakfast.
Okay, let's dig in.
That one's mine, that one's mine.
What kind of side dishes will we be enjoying this evening with our frozen waffles? Am I to understand there will be no side dishes?
So,
In the episode The Poor Kid, Stuart and Carol get arrested on camera for a reality show called White Trash in Trouble after the police find a meth lab in their own backyard. Kenny and his siblings get shipped off into the foster system. We think it's safe to say that these guys are broke beyond what the word broke can even describe.
But the children in this home live in a world of neglect. There's no heating, no groceries. And if you look closely in the backyard, you can even make out what appears to be a meth lab.
And it's only made more tragic by the fact that Kenny's one of the more heroic characters on the show once you dig past the poverty jokes. As Mysterion, he spends a chunk of the series quietly protecting his little sister Karen, comforting her the night that they end up in a stranger's house because their parents got arrested. But that whole protectiveness has a much darker flip side, and it shows up hard in an episode called Cartman Joins Nambla. Kenny finds out his mum's pregnant again, and instead of being even a little bit happy about a new sibling, he decides the baby has to go. Not metaphorically, he goes to war with an unborn child. and his methods of doing so can downright be described as, well, war crimes. First, he beans his own dad in the bollocks with a fastball, hoping to sterilise him on the spot, and when that doesn't work, his mum falls pregnant anyway. He tricks a pharmacist into selling him abortion pills, mixes them into his mum's favourite vodka and cocoa drink, and hands it to her. She doesn't drink it because, funnily enough, pregnant women aren't meant to be knocking back vodka. So his own dad drinks it instead and spends the rest of the episode violently ill. You'd think the torture on his dad would clue the kid that enough is enough, but he doesn't stop there. Next, he drags his pregnant mother onto an amusement park ride called the John Denver Experience, specifically because it's not recommended for pregnant women, hoping that the G-force will do what the pills couldn't. And of course, comedically, that doesn't really work either. He's tried every possible way to stop this from happening, and when all else fails, he turns to the good old-fashioned physical violence. So he chases his own pregnant mother through the streets of South Park with a plunger, trying to physically force the pregnancy out of her. And his dad has to tackle his own son to stop him from hurting her.
Oh, hi, Kenny. What are you doing? What are you doing, Kenny? Kenny, what are you going to plunge?
Kenny, what the hell are you doing?
I mean, it's not really slapstick anymore, is it? That is a kid who's been raised in such total scarcity and has spent so many years without food, money, or anything else that matters. His brain has wired itself around one single terrifying idea. Every new mouth is a threat. So to keep him alive, he's learned to eliminate the competition before it could even be born. Keep in mind that this is the same kid who'll stand guard over his sister all night as Mysterion. Yet, when he snaps, he'll chase his own mother down the street with a plunger a few episodes later. And honestly, both of those are the same lesson taught by the exact same childhood. And while Kenny's parents definitely contributed to his mental break by being dirt poor, the next family straight up just want to delete their only daughter. With that kind of build-up, you know who we're talking about next. Meg Griffin, Family Guy's favourite punching bag. We all know the drill by now. Family Guy loves using Meg as the dumping ground for every cheap joke and bit of casual cruelty that the writers can think up. And for the most part, she just takes it, episode after episode, because that's the role that she's been handed. So by the time that we get to season 19's And Then There's Fraud, you'd think that the show would need something massive to top decades of that treatment.
I tell you to clean your rooms, and the first thing you do is put all your science projects in Stewie's closets, and give me those glasses. They're cluttering up your face.
I need them to see.
They're not bringing me joy!
Instead, it does something almost worse. A week before the episode even starts, Meg apparently does something so serious, she's now legally required to have a, quote, buddy watching her everywhere she goes. Hallway buddy, creek buddy. Doesn't matter where in the house she is, or hell, where in the world she is. Someone's got to be attached to her at all times. And what makes this so much worse is the fact that we never find out what she did. We kid you not. I mean, please, if you have any crazy theories on what the she did, then leave them in the comments, because it's driving us crazy. The show treats an offence serious enough to require court-mandated supervision like it's a mildly annoying chore for everyone else to deal with. Peter reminds her about her buddy in the exact same tone you'd use to remind someone to take the bins out. Nobody asks her what happened, and other than general fear of her, nobody seems remotely concerned about why their teenage daughter suddenly needs an ankle monitor. They're just irritated that they have to keep tabs on her.
Why is Meg here? Something happened last week and she can't be left alone. Like, legally.
Where you going? Come on, Meg, you gotta stay by me.
I wasn't gonna do anything.
Look, it's just a few months.
I mean, think about that for a second. This is a family who spent literal decades treating Meg like background noise. And even when she does something genuinely serious enough to involve law enforcement, their reaction isn't fear or concern or even curiosity. It's a mild inconvenience. She couldn't make herself more of a problem if she tried, and it still doesn't earn her a real reaction out of any of them.
Hey, Meg, sweetie, Where's your hallway buddy?
Dad, I'm fine.
It's just I'm gonna need you to go find your hallway buddy, okay? He's a good girl. Thank you.
So by the end of the episode, Meg doesn't ask for help and doesn't try to explain herself. She just saws her own foot off, bracelet and all, and disappears into the wild, presumably to go and do whatever it was that got her there in the first place. Except now with nobody left to stop her.
Jerseys and a Sharpie.
Guys, I just found Meg's ankle bracelet.
So?
Her foot's still in it.
That's the whole tragedy of Meg Griffin in one image. Honestly, a girl pushed so far past the point of being noticed that even when she became a genuine threat to society, none of them even blinked. Right, if you thought that was the darkest turn on this list, then you clearly haven't met our final entry yet. Because Meg, at the very least, chose to run. This next one didn't even get a choice. And now it's time for the one that you've been waiting for, because everything we've talked about so far, every neglected toddler, every strangled kid, every plunger chase, every prison break, all of it pales in comparison to what happens when the abuser is your own bloody father. And the father in question is the Fire Lord of an entire nation who's trying to take over the whole damn world. Azula. Hearing that name either makes you grin like a maniac or shiver in fear. There's literally no in between. The Prodigy is a master firebender and terrifying teenage warlord, and easily one of the most iconic villains in Western animation, full stop. And every ounce of that terrifying competence was built directly on top of some of the coldest, most calculated psychological abuse you'll ever see on a kids show. All of Azula's insanity, and we mean all of it, goes straight back to the Fire Lord himself, Ozai. Everyone remembers him telling Zuko that he was lucky to be born, while Azula was simply born lucky. That line gets thrown around a lot because it's devastating to Zuko, and rightly so. But we don't talk enough about what that says for Azula. Ozai isn't complimenting his daughter there. Hell, it's the exact opposite. Every single bit of effort, every hour of training, every bit of raw talent that she's poured into being exactly what she wants, and her own father still calls it luck. Nothing Azula does is ever enough. It's just occasionally useful enough for him to not punish her for it. And do we even want to talk about her mother? In the episode The Beach, Azula finally cracks open, just for a moment, and tells her friends flat out that her own mother thought she was a monster.
I don't have sob stories like all of you. I could sit here and complain how our mom liked Zuko more than me, but my own mother thought I was a monster. She was right, of course, but it still hurt.
Azula grew up knowing that the person who's supposed to love you unconditionally looked at her and saw something monstrous. So why the wouldn't she turn into what she turned into? A ruthless, manipulative psychopath who's terrifying to be around. Even to her own friends, Mai and Ty Lee, the two people closest to her in the entire world, who she dominates through fear. Because fear is the only currency anyone ever taught her was worth anything. But that sort of chaos, there's only so far you can go. Eventually, the friends that she ruled with an iron fist turn on her, and her already pretty broken mind began to fall apart. She hacks off all of her own hair in a straight-up mental breakdown. She starts seeing her dead mother. She's so far gone that she just thought of her long-gone mother saying, "I love you," is the final straw. And in the finale, on the day she's meant to be crowned Fire Lord, she loses an Igni Kai against Zuko and Katara fighting together. And the very last time we ever see Azula, the single most powerful teenager in the entire Fire Nation, she's chained to a metal grate, screaming and sobbing. Completely and totally broken. There's not even the slightest chance of redemption arc, like her brother got. At least Zuko got a chance to branch away from what his father made him. Azula never gets that chance. After the war, Zuko has her committed instead, because by then there's nothing left of the Prodigy to punish. Years later, she's still manipulating from the shadows to twist her own brother into the tyrant that she was raised to become. Old habits die hard. And once again, this is another drop in the growing ocean of evidence on this channel that bad parents really are the problem. We really should go back to clowning on them a little bit more. Anywho, that's all we've got time for. If you think that there's anyone that would fit more in this list, then let us know. Also, make sure to leave a like and subscribe and all that rubbish. It helps a whole lot. Cheerio!